Hello everybody and welcome back to the modern Green Bay and Western. My name is Gabe, owner of the layout, and here we see a freight being hauled by GB&W 210, a -9, headed through New London. Today we're going to be working on Granite Valley Forest Products and finishing it up. So before we start on the project, if you could like and subscribe, that would be great. Let's get into it. Here's what Granite Valley Forest Products looks like right now. I have my 2 storage sheds that I built from the Walters kit. Then I got my scratch built building back here. So today what we're going to work on is kind of finishing up the scene. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start from the bottom and kind of work our way up. We're going to some scenery, some extension to the track. We're going to weather our buildings. We're going to put scenery over here so it blends in with the Highway 45 bridge project. And then also we're going to try to do a little bit of detailing in the sense of people and signs and wood laying around to make it look like this is actually a functioning industry. So with that, we got a lot to do, and we're going to get to work. First we're going to start on extending this cork a little bit. There was a little bit of a gravel driveway that came out, and then there was also more of a driveway that went around this side of the building. So we're gonna work on that, putting the cork out, and then we're gonna start putting some ditches around. So first things I'm gonna do here is create a little bit of a template so I know how to cut my cork out. I'm just gonna push it up against the backdrop here. And I'm going to draw a line here for that. I'm going to feel where the cork ends currently, draw a line there. Next I'm over here with some self-adhesive cork. I got a leftover piece here that I'm going to use. Actually, that looks like that'll fit pretty good. And then I'm just going to mark where my template left off so that way I don't cut too big of a piece with the rest. Gotta test fit it quick, make sure that it works where I need it to. That looks pretty good, and then there's the... Oh, that's not quite right. I guess I'm gonna have to do some trimming there. I buy this stuff, it's backed self-adhesive, so it's like a giant cork sticker. I buy this stuff at Hobby Lobby, and it works great for kind of building up portions of scenery, track, yards, things like that. Okay, next I'm going to take the buildings off the layout. Firstly, because they're going to get weathered. Secondly, so I can work on stuff here without worrying about damaging them. So as you can see by me writing ditch here, what I kind of want to do is try some ditch detail by lowering it down here so that it looks like there's some drainage and hopefully it looks a little more realistic. To that end, I'm going to try using this sanding block. I think I'll be able to kind of angle it, and I'll be able to get the desired indentations I want for the ditch. So I guess we'll see if it works. And here's the effect finished. This I just kind of lowered down in the whole general area just to kind of give a little bit of a difference in terrain. Since most of my layout's pretty flat, I figured that would at least give a little bit of interest to the scenery. And then here I just made essentially ditches. They don't need to be too deep because I think easily in N scale you could get something way deeper than you need to be. So We're going to work next on getting a piece of track right here to extend into the building. So this will be a fairly simple project. I just need to cut out a length that'll fit there, cut it with screw nippers, and then a little bit of Eileen's tacky glue will hold it in place for me. And then a little detail that I'm going to work on here is I'm going to put a couple pieces of strip wood to represent concrete so that the door seals when it's closed when I put the building on. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good and fairly convincing for what I'm looking for. The next part of this project we're going to work on is ballasting the spur. I'm only going to worry about ballasting up to here, because after that I'm going to ballast all the track as if it's part of the gravel parking lot of Granite Valley Forest Products. So it's a good thing I made this removable, and I'm going to work on ballasting. Ballasting is a pretty simple task. First, we're just going to lay down ballast down the middle of the rails, and we're going to just form it on the sides as best as we can to make it look like what ballast should look like, which is drainage. And it'll be a lot easier to do it where I don't have scenery. I originally thought that I would ballast all my track after scenery because that's how the real world works. It's much simpler to just do it without the scenery in place. And then after that, some wet water, which I make out of some laundry detergent because it suds up less, and some warm water shaken and sprayed onto the ballast. And then I hold it all in with scenic cement, which is homemade. It's just white glue, water, and a little bit of rubbing alcohol in order to break the surface tension and better fill in. And I think that looks like a pretty good spur track now. Okay, so the ballast is set, and I put the Highway 45 bridge back in. Now we're going to work on putting the gravel down in the lot. As you can see, I have marked out where the buildings are supposed to go, so I can kind of avoid those areas and have a flat spot for my buildings. What am I using for it? We are using fine gray ballast from Woodland Scenics. Elijah picked it out. Elijah, would you like to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Elijah picked it out, and that's what we're going to be using for the gravel parking lots. So the process for doing this is very similar to ballasting. However, what we're going to do is I'm going to paint gray where I want the gravel to go. So this will give something for the ballast to adhere to. And this way, anything that doesn't get covered will still be gray, and we don't have to worry so much about 100% coverage, especially in the back here where you're not going to really see much. And I want to get a thick coat here. Just need a light layer of this. And we don't need to make sure that it goes straight up to where the buildings are. We will rough that in, flatten it out with a spoon in some spots where I got little piles unintentionally. The track will also be ballasted completely covered with the same stuff I'm using for the parking lot. So I'm just moving out the sides of where it meets the track, so we kind of have a gentle slope. Now, what you might be asking is, how am I going to get the flanges clear? I'm going to go get a freight car to help me do that. I realized I forgot I was putting in some crossing, a wood crossing here. So I'm going to clean out this portion so that it lays nice and flat when the time comes. Anything else I get can always get done, or anything I miss can get done also when I lay it down. I can always chip some out and vacuum it up. Also going to run the track eraser over so that way anything that's sticking up above where the track eraser height is gets knocked over, and I can make sure that I can clean these tracks once it's all glued down. And then it's time for wet water, scenic cement, and maybe a little bit of hairspray just to double ensure that it's all locked down. Well, I unexpectedly with my wet water got some of these balls from droplets, so I'm going to smooth them out hopefully with just a spoon, and that'll work. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a project on the layout for me if there wasn't some sort of crisis I needed to solve. As we wait for the gravel to dry on the layout, we're over here on the workbench to do a couple things. The first thing we're going to work on is these wood grade crossings. So I'm using these Blair line wood grade crossings. I've had them for a long time. They were supposed to be on my other layout and never actually got to that point. So these are going to help the trucks cross over, the trucks and forklifts cross over. The other side of the track and be able to load box cars and center beams on both sides. So, alright, well, there we go. One fell out, so I guess I'm going to use that one. We'll leave it in while I weather it quickly with just some simple brown wash that I made. It's just Apple Valley brown and some water and a little bit of rubbing alcohol to break up surface tension. In addition to the brown, I'm going to use some black to really make it look weathered. Use a little bit more of the wash portion of it to dilute it out. And with that, I think we'll let that sit. That should look pretty good once it dries. Next, I'm going to work on weathering the buildings. This building is a fairly new building and doesn't look very dirty when I visited in real life. So very simple weathering on this. I've already sprayed it with dull coat to kill the shine. Next, I'm going to dry brush the roof with some gray just to get some of that corrugated detail out. And then a little bit of black chalk on the bottom to make it look like where rain and mud has splashed up on the building. Another coat of dull coat, and it should be ready for the layout. Next, it's my two storage sheds that need weathering. These are going to be weathered much more extensively than the last building. When we went out and looked at the buildings themselves, which you can see in the first video of these series, they are very rusty and old and looking more gray than they are aluminum, as I'm assuming they were originally colored that color. So we're going to use dry mud, Delta dirt, and medium rust quite liberally in order to give us some old-looking buildings that have seen a little bit more use. One thing to note, when I originally built these buildings, it's kind of hard to see thanks to the shadow. I already weathered the floors, and I'm not too worried about the interiors being clean. Yeah, so really, this is just going to be putting probably a couple layers of powdered chalks on these to make them look old, and then covering them with dull coat. I've covered this a lot, so we're just going to have a montage for this portion. Okay, so our ballast is dry. Now we're going to put in the road crossing here, the wooden road crossing that we have stained. Put it in, doesn't quite lays flat. And then you see on the edges, I need to get rid of some of the ballast so that the sides lay nice and flat. I'm just going to do that with a screwdriver, and then I'm going to vacuum up the parts that come off. Okay, while that dries, I'm going to work on doing scenery to blend this into what little scenery I have on the layout. It's going to be fairly simple. Painting brown, putting ground cover over it, and then blocking it in with scenic cement. Not too many trees, because this is kind of a open area as of what it looks like now. So there'll be a few trees there, but no forest or anything like that. So my plan is to work my gravel up to the edge here. You can see there's a bit of a difference there. Part of it is because I believe kind of assumed you'd be doing a concrete pad that would go directly to the track. I'm going to cut the cork out around it so that it sits down a little better, and then we'll blend in the gravel to it. There's the buildings back on the layout, and next step is to work the gravel up to all my buildings and my grade crossing. With that taken care of, I built a little gate here. It's actually just made out of toothpicks and leftover part from bridge kit that I painted silver. And next we're going to put some cross bucks in at our little crossing. So these are Tichy cross bucks that I taped the front of and painted the rest silver. Using a pin to make myself a hole for them to go into. Next, a little bit of Eileen tacky glue on the crossbuck. I'll put it in and get it to an appropriate height. One detail that I don't think is often thought about as a detail when it comes to building industries and stuff is ensuring that you have era and industry appropriate equipment to serve it. These are all WiscoTrains 60-foot high cube box cars. I believe I purchased all of them from engine house services in Green Bay. One of them, this one's a little bit older, but I'm fairly certain that's where I got that one from too. I also want some center beams, which I really can't find an end scale right now, but working on that. So, but yeah, now I have at least 4 very modern box cars. This one I think has a built date of around 2002, the Union Pacific one, and they'll look great being spotted over there at Granite Valley Forest Products, being loaded up with lumber. And here is where we're gonna finish the scene for the time being. Here's what Granite Valley Forest Products looks like. So I put a little van out there delivering some stuff. I had some people working out there. I added this shipping container on the side. It's being used for storage. And I'm gonna put a couple before and after videos up here for you to see kind of what it looked like before and what it looks like now. This is the progress over a month and a half worth of work, so it's not a big area, but it definitely looks a lot better now. So for now, we are going to say that the project is complete, and Granite Valley Forest Products is ready to be considered as such. However, there's still some things that I like to do, and I'm going to cover in future videos. They're not going to be as long as this, but they're just a couple little smaller things that I'd like to get done. I think some of the obvious are lumber that needs to go in the racks and on the ground, and then I also have a metal forklift kit that I'd like to work on and show, because I don't think I've ever built a metal kit before. So yeah, I'm very excited how it all turned out, and I'm looking forward to moving on to a new project on the layout. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed following along on this one, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.